Hello everybody and welcome to round 3. I told James he could just stay where he was seated because I made a promise to Jonathan that he could be on the feature match if he won his first round. Granted, this is round 3, but Jonathan got the bye first round and I don't count buys. So we're going to see how Abzan plays against a relatively unknown strategy in Modern, which is Restore Balance. Jonathan's looking to cascade into a free Restore Balance and just completely deprive his opponent of resources while he sits on things like border posts. Really just gets to pick and choose how many resources he's going to allow James to have. Now, I am not completely sure how this matchup goes for Jonathan, but we're going to get to see. Looks like Jonathan took a mulligan. James decided that his hand was good enough. And we got another mulligan from Jonathan. I'm not sure how well his deck mulligans. I imagine he does get to strip some cards if he happens to get the Restore Balance off, so there's that. Alright, James is going to cut. Jonathan's going to look at 5 cards. Okay, so Brendan in the chat saying that James has a pretty decent win percentage against Jonathan. Looks like Jonathan's just sitting on a handful of lands, essentially, especially with the border post. That's going to be an Evolving Wilds coming down for Jonathan. He's going to pass the turn back over to James. James just had a Shambling Vent tapped his first turn. This is going to be a Windswept Heath. He's going to pass the turn over to Jonathan. Jonathan's going to pseudo fetch at the end of James's turn. And that is a possibility, Paradox Panic. That is not out of the realm of possibility at all. Jonathan is going to have a Plains fetched up by the Evolving Wilds at the end of James's turn. He's going to untap with the Plains, draw for turn. He's going to tap it and put out a border post. This looks to be the red-green border post, and land for turn, putting down another border post. This is the red-black one. Alright, James is going to fetch down to 19. Alright, let me adjust life totals real quick. And find an Overgrown Tomb. So he's going to go down to 17. He's going to Abrupt Decay one of the border posts. That's going to set Jonathan back a fair bit. Maelstrom Pulse hits the other border post. He's going to ship over to Jonathan. Jonathan has quite nothing working for him. It's going to be a Plains, another border post. He's going to ship the turn back over to James. James making quick work of these border posts. Jonathan's going to get to untap with a border post finally, but he only has 2 mana now. He's going to ship the turn back over. Alright, and this is going to be 4 directed at Jonathan. Another Tarmogoyf played for James. Yeah, Jonathan does play Blood Moon, so it is interesting that James would not just go for more basics. James, quite literally the aggressor here. He's going to Inquisition Jonathan. The only target's going to be Maelstrom Pulse. We see Goblin, Dark Dwellers, and Nahiri. And this is going to be a huge swing for Jonathan, or for James. That's going to knock Jonathan down to 8. It's going to be a Grim Flayer for James. This looks to be a Nahiri coming down for Jonathan. He's going to get to exile. Ooh, this isn't a Johnny Vengeant. Man, I do not call him like I see him. That is for sure. Brendan in the chat, can you please remind me of a Johnny Vengeance abilities and what Jonathan may be doing with said abilities? Alright. Jonathan's going to go back up to 11 after, I believe that's Lightning Helix-esque, the ability that he used to get rid of the Grimflayer there. Thank you, Brendan. This is going to be a swing with the Tarmogoyfs. One of the Tarmogoyfs out of Johnny, the other going over to Jonathan. That's going to knock Jonathan down to 6. Alright, this is going to be a tireless tracker netting a clue for James. That clue is going to get to stick around if Jonathan has any risky business going on. Ooh, Jonathan has Restore Balance in his hand. He's going to get to exile one of the Tarmogoyfs, but it looks like, if I'm correct, Jonathan is just out of this game. Yeah, and that's going to be a quick game 1 in James's favor. We're going to go 2 sideboards. Thank you as well, Brad. I do know about Google, but attention needs to be a little more on the game, and cards like a Johnny Vengeance are just not in my wheelhouse. We have a Bow of Nylea for Jonathan. He can cycle cards from his graveyard back into his library, gain some life, stuff like that. He does have Cast Out. He has 2 Gideon of the Trials and 3 Wear/Tears coming in for him. As far as what James sideboards, I'm a little unfamiliar with this matchup myself. Jonathan and I played a fair bit earlier, just because he wanted to test, so I was playing ad nauseum, and so that didn't go so well for him, basically. Alright, looks like Nahiri is also going to come out for Jonathan. Goblin Dark Dwellers is going to come out, just a little too slow for what he needs to be doing. Another Goblin Dark Dwellers coming out for him. Looks like Ghostly Prison may also get the axe. Meanwhile, on James's side, I believe he probably just has some dead cards. Did you... Okay, we have Brendan in the chat linking me James's sideboard, so let's see how that goes. I'll check this out. I have error not found. Sorry about that, Brendan. Did not work out for me. As far as I'm concerned, though, James is just going to side in a little bit more interaction. I'm sure there's some dead cards in this matchup, and I'm sure there's some things out of the side that just do a little bit more for him. James has 2 Collective Brutalities, 1 Damnation, 1 Flaying Tendrils, 3 Fulminator Mages, Gideon Ally of Zendikar, 1 Golgari Charm, Grafdigger's Cage, 1 Kalitas, 2 Stony Silences, and 2 Surgicals. Things I like here, maybe this is just me over sideboarding, but things like Surgical, Stony Silence, I'm not sure how much work Collective Brutality does. I guess the duress ability on it is not 0, you know? That can find the Cascade spells that Jonathan has in hand. Other than that, I don't really like too much sideboarding out of James. It's the possibility of something like Fulminator Mage if Jonathan just has like an early game Blood Moon. James can actually just cast Fulminator Mage, but I don't know. There's not much in his sideboard I'm really too big on. Maybe getting an Ally of Zendikar if you just want to be if you just have that many dead cards main board. That's right. Golgari Charm does have the Disenchant-esque. I think it only hits enchantments, so that is good against Blood Moon. Gideon does get around Restore Balance because Restore Balance doesn't reference Planeswalkers. We see James finding Stony Silence. No lands, though. So far. Oh, there's one. And there's the second. No green mana for James, but this may be good enough. We'll see what Jonathan would want to do in this spot. I think James seeing 2 lands and Stony Silence is pretty good, especially the Lingering Souls as well, and the Inquisition. So he has play in his hand. He just needs to find a green mana. There's going to be a Windswept Heath for Jonathan. This is going to find him a land, and then he's going to get to play the Border Post. James is just going to play that Shambling Vent tapped. No urgency to do anything to the contrary. He's just going to pass the turn over to Jonathan. Jonathan's going to play a Plains here and ship the turn back over to James. James draws another copy of Lingering Souls and quickly comes down the Stony Silence. This is going to shut off Jonathan's Border Posts. Jonathan now just sitting at 2 mana, whereas he could have had 3. Liliana of the Last Hope. Or Liliana the Last Hope, not of the Last Hope. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. James is at 18. You all are correct. He was shocked off of the Godless Shrine. This is going to be an Inquisition taking Blood Moon. He's going to ship the turn back over to Jonathan. Jonathan's just going to ship the turn back over to James. James is going to play a Marsh Flats. He's going to be able to find a green source if he so chooses. Right, he's going to fetch and shock. Actually doesn't look like he's looking to shock, but he probably will. Yeah. So he's going to fetch and shock, fall down to 15. And he is going to drop Liliana of the Veil. Presumably plussing her. He has a multitude of Lingering Souls. He can discard this Liliana. Literally 3 Lingering Souls. He's going to ship the turn back over to Jonathan. Jonathan is going to be able to get out from under that Stony Silence. Maybe too little too late, because this Liliana is going to make quick work of his hand. He's going to be able to put down another Border Post, and he's going to ship the turn back over to James. James draws Collective Brutality for turn. Just like I thought the Duress ability is something. James knows Jonathan's not working with too much, and he can really just grind out advantage with 2 Lilianas. This Liliana is going to plus with no target, and this Liliana is going to plus and discard yet another Lingering Souls. He's going to ship the turn back over to Jonathan. Jonathan's going to untap, draw for turn. Jonathan's going to play a Blood Moon. Blood Moon off the top for Jonathan. That's a crazy draw, but really he needs to get out from under these 2 Lilianas. James has all the advantage in the world working for him right now. He's going to plus Liliana. Jonathan's going to be forced to discard Nahiri. He's going to discard yet another Lingering Souls, pass the turn. James just needs to find 1 swamp, if we're being completely fair here. Alright, this is going to be a redundant copy of Nahiri. This is the second one, so the first one was redundant. And he is going to plus and choose to not draw and discard. James finds a basic forest, plays a Tarmogoyf. James is going to plus the Liliana, get that Violent Outburst out of Jonathan's hand. Plus the other Liliana. Discard Stirring Wildwoods, and he is going to pass the turn over to Jonathan. Jonathan is going to untap Nahiri to draw. And Jonathan's going to get to Cascade. Jonathan is cascading. He's going to keep revealing until he finds the only card he can find in this instance, which is Restore Balance. Of course, as we've referenced before, Restore Balance does not affect Planeswalkers. It doesn't even reference them. So, James still heavily advantaged having both Lilianas out, especially Liliana the Last Hope. She can really just turn this game around for James. James is going to get to untap. He is going to ultimate Liliana of the Veil. If it becomes relevant, Brendan, if there's a change and he still doesn't acknowledge the change, James may just not have moved the die. Jonathan's going to keep just the Nahiri, and I don't think that this game is long for this world anyways. Usually I will step in if life totals are changing frequently, but this isn't really a matchup where that's going to happen. Alright. James is thinking here. It looks like he is going to plus Liliana the Last Hope and ship the turn back over to Jonathan. James does have all of his colors of mana open to him. Jonathan's going to fetch. He's going to fall down to 18. He's going to find him a Plains. He is going to ultimate the Nahiri. That's going to be an Emrakul. James is going to be sacking all of his permanents. And, yeah, I'll let James know that James is actually dead. James, you're dead. Alright, and, yeah, that did change quickly. James acknowledging that yes, he is actually dead to the Emrakul. And so that alright. So we're going to a game 3 here very quickly. James made the 2 piles, gave Jonathan the go ahead to keep one of the piles, and Jonathan kept the pile with Nahiri, and it really worked out for him. James had no real interaction with the Nahiri. We see Blood Moon, a couple of border posts. Looks like a Restore Balance, possibly stranded. No, it's a Wear and Tear and Bow. Alright, this looks like a keepable hand for James. It isn't ideal, but he does have some sort of interaction. Alright, Shambling Vent coming down for James. He's going to ship the turn over to Jonathan. Jonathan's going to fall to 19 and return the land to his hand to play a border post. James is going to play an Inquisition. He's going to get to see Jonathan's hand. He can take border post, Bow Nalea. He's really interested in taking that Blood Moon, though. And then he is going to Thoughtseize Jonathan, so James is going to fall down to 18. And he's going to take the other border post. Alright, he's going to cut Jonathan. Jonathan's going to draw for turn. He draws an Evolving Wilds off the top. He's going to play the Evolving Wilds for turn. James is going to... Knowing about the Wear and Tear. Oof. James is aware of the Wear and Tear. So he's just going to play this Liliana, and he's going to plus... Discarding Lingering Souls, getting Jonathan to discard the Wear and Tear, so the Stony Silence is back online. Oh man, that was completely a change of direction. A great call on James's part, getting to plus the Liliana and seeing if Jonathan would keep the Wear and Tear in hand. Alright, this is Bow coming down for Jonathan, and Stony Silence is going to have something to say about the Bow and the border post. This is going to be an Inquisition. Show me your hand, says James. James gets the one target, which is Demonic Dread, and he's going to plus Liliana. And Jonathan's going to have to find a way to answer all of this. James doesn't really have a threat yet, and that I would call that a threat, getting a Johnny out of Jonathan's hand. Jonathan's just going to have to shift the turn back to James. James is going to tap 3. He finds a Lingering Souls. He also had notably one in Graveyard. He's going to plus Liliana, attack with the Tireless Tracker. Jonathan's going to fall down to 16. Alright. Alright, this is going to be a clue coming down for James. This is going to be an attack for 5. Jonathan's just going to take the 5. So he's going to actually take 6 because James is going to crack a clue off the Tireless Tracker. Alright, maybe too little too late, but Stoning Silence is gone. James is going to fetch. Fall down to 17. James is going to get another clue off of that fetch. He's going to get to untap with, frankly, a ton of creatures. He's going to fetch with that Windswept Teeth, net a second clue. Or net a third clue. Correction. So Windswept Teeth counting as a land drop as well. It's going to be just a basic force for James. He knows about, of course, the Blood Moon. The various Blood Moon in Jonathan's library. Of course, 1 hit the bin very early on in this game. Plus, getting rid of the Nahiri, James gets rid of the land in hand. And James is going to swing. This is currently an attack for 6. James can deal a total of 8 if he so chooses, then the 2 spirits are lethal. He's going to say... Yeah. He's going to say 6 is fine. Drop Jonathan down to 4. Another border post. And that is signed, sealed, and delivered. That is game. James takes this one in 3, and quite frankly... we'll see James round 4. Because he will be at the top table with whomever wins out of the other strategies. Alright everybody, as always, thank you for watching. We will be back. I'll step out real quick and then I will come back and I'll have an interview with James for y'all. And just to kind of see where he feels like his next matchup is, how he sideboarded that game, and quite frankly, how he's been doing so well. So look forward to that. I will go grab him after he cleans up. We'll be back in about 10 minutes. Hello everybody and welcome James to the booth. This is James. Hey, James. Alright, So, walk me through the Abzan matchup, just game 1, 2, and 3.
Okay, so the Abzan matchup was really fun.
How does the mirror usually go?
It literally goes, whoever draws the most Lingering Souls wins the match.
I mean, it did seem like a lot of valuable pieces played a lot of parts. Like Tireless Tracker was huge in all the games that we saw it in.
Like, so the way that I'm looking... Okay, so I'm convinced on Bobzan right now. Like, honestly, like, I like Bobs a whole lot. The only reason why I haven't picked them up is because I'm waiting for the...
Brendan says hi, by the way.
Oh, hi, Brendan. Hi. I can stay. I won.
Yeah, you're going to see him next round.
But, so, yeah, like, what's it called? I'm waiting for them to, I guess, potentially unban cards before I pick up Bob's. But I do like Bobzan. It gives you a little bit more card selection in a deck that doesn't have the colors for card selection. So it makes you almost as good as like a Grixis Death Shadow as far as like your card advantage. But things like Tireless Tracker definitely like a leg up in the matchup. Like I was saying earlier, when I was playing game one, it was crazy because like I thought I was clawing back in, and then he just kept playing spells. And I'm just like, where are all these cards coming from? I could have sworn you had an empty hand. Like I don't understand.
Yeah, it escalated like
yeah,
super quickly.
it went from 0 to 100 literally really quick. Like
Wait, what kind of cards do you sideboard in the mirror?
So I picked up Finxes tonight just because like specking like people doing like some aggressive
You have multiple
decks.
players on burn.
Yeah, so that's pretty good. So I sided in the Finxes because they're really good. Like just chump blockers. They blank a bunch of Abzan's removal. They do really poor. Or Liliana of the Veil does really poorly against Kitchen Finks. So that was my idea there. You saw in what was it, game 2, game 3, where like I blocked a Gideon with a Kitchen Finks. That was good. Like blanking a 5/5 indestructible, prevent all damage, swinging
and gaining 2 life
gaining
off the
2 life.
exchange.
I'll take it. Next up, I think what else? Oh, I sided in. I picked up a second Liliana, the Last Hope, because I felt like that was really good. I don't think that it needs to be main boarded, but in the sideboard,
You were on the draw that
yeah,
game 3.
it was definitely really good. As you
Or
saw,
you were
like
on the play?
I was on
No, you're on the
play game 2, draw game 3.
Yes, because you won game 2.
Yeah. So I definitely put the Liliana, the Last Hopes in because those are really good against Lingering Souls, really good against
Absolutely.
yeah, like a Fatal Push, Abrupt Decay kind of blanks it because you can just neg 2 or get back some value. I was running Siege Rhinos, which that was really good with, but like I cut them for today. I decided instead to opt for double Collective Brutality in the main board, move Kitchen Finxes in the sideboard. Seems to be doing pretty good right now. Cut my paths, run a not Maelstrom Pulse, a Murderous Cut until I get a hold of a second Maelstrom Pulse. Pretty good stuff. Normal mid-range things. I did side in a Kalitas. That's my pet card. I'm thinking about like moving it because like it's Dredge is no longer.
It's kind of
a
like
thing.
completely disappeared.
Yeah. Dredge is no longer a thing. I don't really
Possibly.
Need Possibly.
Your possible matchups next round are a player's first night on burn,
Yeah.
or Dredge.
Yeah, I'm really excited about the Dredge one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, because I mean, you actually still
Yes.
have the hate,
We're still here. I never get rid of the hate. Like I don't understand the people who get rid of the graveyard hate. That's what
Yeah,
happens.
your on board play is really, really good.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So like the graveyard is one of the utilities that you do have to worry about.
Exactly. Like I can definitely deal with anything committed to the board pretty handily with like Fatal Push, Abrupt Decay, Collective Brutality, the works. Most small creatures are like quick work for me. It's mostly the Tatsigers and the Gormags that give the deck the problem, but none seem to be here today.
There was one player that we saw round 1, but he got beat out by the Dredge player. So,
yay, Dredge.
Yeah.
I'm definitely thinking about like running like just for around here because like I know we have like the Dredge player, the Hollow One player, we have a couple Grixis Death Shadow players and stuff like that.
Exactly.
So I'm thinking about like running a Singleton Anafenza the Foremost in my sideboard because that would be hilarious.
It's a good card.
I'll watch someone thought scour away their threats. That seems like a really good thing to do. Go ahead and dredge your Stinkweed Imps and all those.
we saw the Dredge player get out the Black Ley line against the Death Shadow deck, and yeah, Thought Scour. It's become super fun because you don't want to hit them, right? Because make their graveyard better, but you hit
you
yourself,
don't want to hit
you exile
yourself.
cards.
Yeah. Real good
becomes
song
a terrible
and dance.
card. And as far as Restore Balance is concerned, Brendan noted in the chat that Restore Balance from y'all have tested in the past, it's like typically 60-65% in your favor.
Yeah, so it's
pretty much what that seems.
Exactly.
Unless you don't know your own life total.
Yeah, you never know you get Emrakul until you get Emrakul, Like
you were so not worried about the matchup that you
I
slipped on life total.
I definitely was like lazily like playing the matchup and forgot that I was dead to an Emrakul. So
yeah, you can still die to misinformation.
Yeah,
even if you're not worried.
Yeah, for sure. Like it was really bad. Like it was not a place I wanted to be in, but I mean, handily cleaned up game 1, game 3. Wasn't really worried about it.
I won't repeat it, but as you can note in the chat, that is the moment that Jonathan won game 2. Right? That pretty much sums it up.
Yeah, pretty much. That
that
accurate.
That Nahiri got there.
Accurate.
And so, as far as I know, you've been testing and playing Abzan for it's been kind of your thing.
Yeah,
it's been your jam. How do you feel? I always ask. Like when Prido's in here, I ask him about John. Mike's been in here one time before. Where do you fall? It's obvious you fall on the Abzan spectrum, but the argument always comes up which one ultimately is the best for this current modern meta.
So for this current modern meta, I think I it sounds biased, but I'm still going to give Abzan the go ahead because you have the powerful white sideboard cards and like Stony Silence and things of that nature. Lingering Souls is a really good. It's just a great card. So like in a world where like Death Shadow is popular.
Absolutely.
I literally tested a little bit of Grixis Death Shadow against my Abzan deck and literally died to Lingering Souls all the time. So I feel like Lingering Souls is a very valuable card. The whole white splash, whether or not you're playing Bobs or what's it called? Path? Path.
Yeah.
Whether or not you're running paths or not, like I think that's where the meta is in, where people are now questioning whether or not we actually need the white. Realistically, sideboard cards and Lingering Souls, I'm still
we are seeing decks like green black mid range just pop
yeah for sure. Like they don't
at this point
they don't need red or white. So I mean, I feel like Jund, the only way Jund comes back to like the forefront is the potential Bloodbraid unbanning. I think Sultai could be in a good place if like JTMS gets unbanned.
That's true.
But other than that, like at that point you just play like a Delver-esque list, right?
Right.
So yeah, like I feel like if unbannings go well, it could sway the way Green Black X or mid-range decks as a whole are played. But right now, without no unbannings or anything, meta as is, if you're looking to play Green Black, I do believe that like Abzan's going to be your best bet just because of the I guess the early game disruption and the late game aggression that it has. It really just runs circles around.
We saw that in the mirror. Like it's just went from 0 to 100 multiple times in the same game on both sides of the field.
For sure, yeah. Like game 1 was like the swingingest game I've played in a minute. So that was really fun, and I did like the mirror definitely game 2 and game 3. Double Liliana wins pretty good, or pretty much anything. Just like the got you moment after you cast a Lingering Souls, and I'm just like, here's the Liliana that takes care of your Lingering Souls, and it's just like, what do you do?
We have Brendan in the chat agreeing with you on the fact that just white has the best sideboard cards. Green black,
for sure.
Green black may just be favoring the main board,
and
not correctly thinking of the sideboard.
So I will chime in on this like flavor of the month thing. I do believe that a lot of people are coming to Abzan. Like in the forum that I'm in, like a lot of people are like, I'm a new player to Abzan, which is like actually really funny because it's just like, I'm new to Modern. I'm gonna spend $1,300 on a deck I've never played. That seems like a really smart idea. But it's it's definitely the flavor of the week. You do have players like me who mid-range is just your thing.
Yeah,
I feel more comfortable attacking a wide open format with like a 48 56% deck.
Yeah, versus like a 60-40 or a 70-30.
Yeah, I would much rather those percentage points over the flash of having
and
like
that's
a combo
the thing
deck.
We've seen in like Channel Fireball articles and stuff like that in the past where pros have noted that it is better to be 52-48 because being a good player actually raises your percentage.
Oh yeah,
points,
for sure. You
right?
like most of mid range is like squeezing out those like little percentage points here and there based on your play style.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not to knock Matt or anything, but like in Matt and I's game where we previously talked about this, but Matt was playing to the board while I was playing to the long game.
Yeah.
So Matt's new to Abzan. I'm not. I know over time like this delirium that he has is gonna hurt me. I know that like if I shrink his goyfs at like a timely manner and then pump my goyfs when I have them, like that's like if I don't have a goyf in the hand, like what's the point of having the graveyard there? So it was like I was playing for like what I could potentially draw out of or draw to get myself out of. Well, he was just like, here, I'm gonna like I see things on the board, I'm gonna remove them, or I don't think he was using his discard spells either, because usually with discard spells, you don't want to get answers a whole lot. I know there was like a whole lot of song and dance of me and him taking each other's discard spells. But then when I would fire back my discard spell, it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense because there was an instance where I drew later on down the line another Inquisition after he had Thought Seized one away, where he would have been better off Thought Seizing the Liliana away or the Goyf, which was ultimately what did him in, but he did away with the hand disruption spell. It's definitely easier to play off the top of your deck than it is to play to what you know is in your hand. So that's another skill you need to do, like when you're playing a mid-range deck, is when you're turn 1 Inquisitioning or turn 2 Thought Seizing, you want to take their most relevant thing, the thing that's going to do the most damage, more than the thing that potentially might screw up your hand and you might draw. Like you'll draw out of it. You're a top deck deck. So
you'll eventually get to that tireless tracker, that dog confidant.
Normally, unless my hand is super good, I will not take a discard spell with a discard spell.
Yeah.
So that's usually how it goes. So it's definitely a percentage points thing.
Thank you, Cameron.
Oh wait, 3. Sorry.
No, he lost. Ooh,
Okay.
Judge.
So that actually solidifies that James is playing Dredge decks next round, which is pretty interesting that you have your pet card in the form of Kalidas, because Reed Duke has his pet cards in the form of Treetop Village.
Oh yeah, for sure. I've never seen him. I'm actually about to try out some Treetop Villages. Just 3/3 Trampler seems really relevant sometimes.
Absolutely. And so we're gonna get over to the potential round 4 after this, and just like a quick break. So thank you guys.